So for lesson 23, we're going back to factoring polynomials. We'll be doing this a lot throughout the semester. We start with finding the greatest common factor of this polynomial. First thing we need to be able to identify is how many terms we're looking at here. And if we count them 1, 2, 3, and 4, we do have 4 of them. Let's start with our numbers. What's the highest factor that we can factor out? Yep. Let's go to our x's. I see that I have 3 here, 4 there, 2, and 2. So what's the most that I can take away from each one of those and be fair? X squared. So that's why we factored out the x squared. What's the most I can factor out for a y? Yeah, just a single y. And then, how about z? Can I factor that out? Nope, because it only appears there. Okay, it's got to appear in all of them if we're going to do that. That would be our GCF. So going to some more basic ones. 3 terms, trinomial, 3x squared plus 6x minus 3. I think if we look at our numbers, it's obvious we can factor out a 3. Can we factor out an x with it? No. So x squared plus 2x minus 3. Whoops. Minus 1. If you look at part B, there's a couple different ways you could go about it. You could just say you want to factor out a positive value. Between 4 and 10, you could factor out that 2. Can we factor out an x or multiple x's with it? Yeah, we can factor out a single x, leaving us 2 x's there and 5 there. The other way you can write it is if you factor out the negative right away with that 2x. You just got to be careful with your signs. Negative 2x. Now that becomes a positive x squared, and that becomes a positive 5. And what I do is I always go back and distribute just to make sure that it's what I come up with for the original expression. Negative times positive will get me negative. Negative times positive will get me negative, and that's what I want. Sometimes there is no GCF to factor out. For instance, x squared minus 10x plus 25. This is our reverse foiling. This is the 2 binomials that we look to set up. We begin by looking at that first term. So what are some factors of x squared? X and x, right? We always started by doing that. And then we asked ourselves, okay, what are factors of 25? 5 and 5. And what we need to get is that sum to be a negative 10 when we do the O and the I of the FOIL process. So if I want a negative 10, I would like to be able to use negative signs there, but am I allowed to? Yeah, we are. The reason is because a negative 5 times a negative 5 will get us that positive 25. Let's take a look at B. Something a little bit more difficult. 4m squared plus 12mn plus 9n squared. Reverse FOIL. Factors of m squared that you think we should use first. Yeah. Typically you'll try to pick the middle 2 factors first. It's not always the ones that'll work. Sometimes it'll be 4 and 1, but these are the 2 that we'll typically try first. Factors of 9. Again, we'll try 3 and 3. And really, what most students want to do is they just want to do the guess and check method. They will guess that this is what it's going to be, and then if they go back and they check it, 2m times 3n will get a 6mn. 3n times 2m, again 6mm, and the sum of those will get us that 12mn right there. X squared minus 49. No GCF to factor out. It's not a trinomial because we don't have that middle term, we just have 2. But we're still going to look to do this because we have that exponent of 2 up there. Factors of x squared are going to be x and x. Factors of 49, we assume we're going to try 7 and 7. And what are my signs going to be? Plus negative, or negative plus, either way. And the reason that works out is because negative 7 plus 7 will get us 0. Gets that middle term to go away. So up till this point, example number 1, A and B, example 2, A and B, example 3, everything has been factoring at this point. Did we have an equal sign for any of those? No. So when you don't have the equal sign, again, it's either simplify or factor. And now for example number 4, we have the equal sign and it is set equal to a value. And notice the directions. Now it is solve. They tell us to solve by factoring, but now we want to solve for that particular x. So now is when we got to take that next step further. X squared plus 3x minus 10, we begin by factoring. No GCF to factor out in front. So I have x and x. Factors of 10 that you would like to try.
2.
Yeah, 2 and 5, or 5 and 2. And it's a negative 10, so one has to be positive and one has to be negative, but also my sum needs to be a positive 3. Therefore, I'm going to give the bigger value that sign, and that's going to be a negative. Again, if you're not for sure, FOIL, and you'll come up with the original statement. And now we go to this idea. You know, if really what we're taking is 2 items, A and B, and we're multiplying them together, and it's telling us that we need to get 0. So what does that tell us about A and B? Well, either A has to be 0 or B has to be 0, right? Okay, so that's why we always took these. X minus 2, set it equal to 0, and this x plus 5, and set it equal to 0. And then we would solve for our x. A lot of you knew right away it's 2 and negative 5. Any questions on that?